training session about working with templates and doing batch uploads. So I'm going to log into the training set here so that we can play around and load up a batch. But the templates and batch record option, there are two components. The templates basically are a way of creating a single record, like the metadata of a record that can be reused for many, many items. So basically what you're doing is trying to create a dummy record with metadata that you want copied forward to multiple files. So you want consistent metadata. You don't want to add unique identifiers or descriptors like titles or personal names unless those things will carry forward to all of the things that you want to upload to it. You can use the template records either for individual files, so you can create a template knowing that you're going to have common components to image files, for example, over the course of uploading a collection, or you can create a template in advance of doing a batch upload of image files. So I will do two things. I'm going to start by creating a dummy record, or you can also use an existing record to create a template. So because I'm starting from scratch, I'm going to start with adding a record without a file, because I don't need to add a file if I'm just creating a template for the sake of creating a template. Now the add record without a file entry screen, this screen here, is really, it's been designed for things like adding clippings, like vertical file clippings to an existing publication record. That's why there's publication information as part of this template. But the only field on the screen that needs to be completed is the title one. So let's call this okay, so I've got that. You'll notice that when I say that you can use a template to apply to individual uploads, this is where that shows up. So if you are a Plus user and you have templates as part of your subscription plan, you'll also be able to immediately assign common metadata from a template to an individual upload. In this case, we're starting a record in order to create a template. So I've got my title. I'm leaving both of these fields empty because that's not the application that we're doing. And then I'm going to choose my primary media type for this template. So again, am I going to apply this to a series of images, a series of text, a series of videos, etc. In this case, I am going to be uploading a batch of image files. So I'm using image as my descriptor template. And I'm adding a record. And this will simply take me into this metadata field. Now, basically what happens here is you've created a record. Now in order to make it a template, you have to go up to the top and create new template. And this is going to duplicate what you've done and make a new record that's a template record. Okay, so it's assigned a different kind of status in the database, if you like. It does mean that if you're doing this the way that I'm doing it, where you created a dummy record first, that you will need to go back and delete that dummy record. And I'll show you that in the top 100 when we get to that point. So now that I've got my template, first of all, it's flagged as a template. The thing to keep in mind about templates is that they are not indexed. They're not part of the giant index that runs the search component of Vita. So it's not searchable, and it won't ever show up on your data management or your public side in terms of if people do a search, this metadata won't be indexed for discovery. So we have to look at, there's a screen where your templates are listed, and you'll notice on the main menu, we'll go back to that there will be also a link through to see what your templates are. So they're sort of like keeping them off to the side so that you can apply them to whatever it is that you need to upload. Okay, but very similar to, well, it's exactly the same as an image record. The difference is for templates, it's got a yellow background. So this is a little bit of a visual reminder that you're inside of a template space. Now the template title is the one that's going to appear in the list of templates that you have. So what I really want to do here is take this one. I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to make that my split rail businesses. The title, the difference between the template title and the title. Template title is the one that identifies the template as a record. The title is the one that's going to be used, replicated for any batch uploading that you do. So I'll just give that a slight variation on the theme there. Now you'll notice that there is a public display on and off button there. That's simply a carry through because of the record type or because of the template itself, the metadata template. But the fact is it will never display publicly. So you can toggle this to yes to your heart's content, but it will never make a difference. You can, same thing, change the primary media type if you want to change the type of metadata that you're assigning. And then keep in mind when you're creating a template that you always need to make sure that the content is going to be consistent or generic across a variety of different items or files that you want to apply it to. So in this case, I know that I'm uploading a series of photographs. They don't have a secondary media type that I would assign. I'm going to just check photographs for this particular batch. They're not associated with the publication, so I'm not worried about these fields or the collation field. If they were all taken by the same photographer, I could add their name and their role, and that would be carried forward. So we can do that if we like. So we'll say that Bernard Clunas was the photographer for this series. It may be that the subject is the same across the entire collection that you're going to be uploading. Say business enterprises. And again, just remember that anything that you assign to the template will be carried forward to every record that you assign it to or every file that you assign it to. So things like personal names, description, notes might be applicable if you're working on a particular collection. You are doing an upload, so this would be oops, sorry. Okay, so this is they are a series of photographs that are coming from a certain chapter of a book. Inscriptions would be very specific to an item. If there are languages in the item, do you want to ask a mystery question, the same mystery question about all the items, and so on. So anything that's consistent, add that information. The dates may be consistent, depends on what you're uploading. For my case, it's fairly generic information that I have. And same thing though, you can add consistent geolocation. So in this case, all of the businesses that I want to add will be in the Flesherton area. Whoops, I added it twice by mistake. The thing that's nice about this is that I can pinpoint it in Flesherton. Sorry, I don't know why it's jumping around so much. And then when I add my individual images with the businesses, I can drag that pin around and change it for each of the images if I want to. Fairly straightforward. Same thing, your local identifier will not carry through because that's a unique field, so it will actually be purged if you enter anything here. But it's a great way of adding a citation across the whole thing. And maybe it came from the same donor, maybe it has a similar custodial history, etc. So I won't belabor it all. You might want to assign consistent Creative Commons license or terms of use to all of them. You can always change these things, right, at the record level. So once you've assigned multiple things to this template, or vice versa, the template applies to multiple files, you can always customize them. And that's easy enough to do. It's just thinking a little bit, kind of stepping back, if you like, from a full-on description as you're creating your template. I can assign all of my batch uploads to a certain group if I want, and that will be carried forward. And I can also assign a consistent link to each of them. Okay, so that is basically my template. And now I'm going to click on this templates link up in the navigation bar just so that we can see where it is here. So I've got my split rail businesses listed. That's the template name. You remember we changed it to the template name, the template title to split rail businesses. And I can click on edit anytime and come in and make changes to that template. While I'm in this space, I can jump to adding a batch directly to this template, or I can step away and go back to my main menu, do something else, and then do an update and add a batch later. So here's my add batch edit templates link. This will only show up if you have a certain level of subscription. So again, here we are in our linked templates. We can edit them or we can add a batch. So I'm just going to pause for 1 second and see if anybody has any questions about adding a new template. Okay, so I'm in my top 100. I just want to flag the fact that templates will have a red label beside them indicating that they are a template record. You'll also notice, as I mentioned, that original dummy record that I set up is also existing in my collection, but it has no content, it has no meaning. So I'm going to go in and delete that original. Right, all I have is a media type associated with this before I changed it to a template. So I'm going to kill off that record just to purge my database. So now in my top 100, all I see is my split rail businesses template. Okay, so now we'll do a batch upload. So I'm going into my main menu and I'm going to add a batch to this particular template. Okay. Sorry about that, Courtney. Okay, so the batch upload, the thing to note about batch uploads is that you can only batch upload image files. So you can upload JPEGs, TIFFs, I believe you can upload GIFs and PNGs, and certainly you can upload JPEG 2000s. So there is a flagged label about that at the top. If you are working with any other kind of image or any other kind of file type, you'll have to go back and add it individually. So you can apply a template to videos, but you can't do a batch video upload. Now, as with any image file, you have to choose how you want it to display. So you are choosing your hero shot, right? So you're choosing your thumb and regular, thumb for the result sets and regular for displaying with the record, or thumb regular and full if you want people to be able to zoom in on the full image. I'm going to choose that for my images because that's what this is going to be, is a selection of photographs. And now I'm going to go and choose my images. So excuse me while I navigate. Okay, so I'm choosing 6 photographs. They're all JPEGs. I get a little thumbnail preview of them all, and I can upload them individually. Part of the reason we have the individual upload is you can see on the left whether or not it's the correct thing that you want to upload. So you can also cancel an upload while it's going. But I can also click the big Start Upload button at the top, and that will start all 6 of them going at once. So you just wait for them to roll through. The list collapses, and then you get a complete button at the top. Now what the tool is going to do is it has to say to itself, okay, I have 6 images. I need to resize each of those images into 3 different display types, thumb, regular, and full. And I also need to apply that template. So here we are on the list, the confirmation list of the 6 uploads. You'll notice that they all got the Fleshers and Businesses title that I gave with a unique number, and that's the only thing that keeps them distinct at this point. You'll also notice at the bottom that I can go in and it's been turned into a batch or a group. It's actually a group, and you'll see it listed in your groups. It's a private group, so there's no information that's going to be found online on your public side about this. It's for you to manage them. So it may be that you do the batch upload and then, someone comes to the desk and you're too busy and you don't get back to it until tomorrow, but you can always come back into Vita, find that group, and then start working on them and customizing them. Or if you're able to work on it right away, you can simply start clicking through from this screen and customizing the data about these particular photographs. So you'll notice when I click through that the consistent metadata that I added from that template have all been applied. Right, my Creative Commons license, my copyright statement, and so on. And now I can go in and start changing some of that information and also make things public when I'm ready. So I know, for example, that this is not the appropriate title to have on the public side, but I can put in Bernard's Quality Cars. I can go in and I can change the geography for this because I know exactly where the business is, etc. So that's the thing with working with batch uploads is being able to assign common metadata across a selection of image files and then being able to customize them. I won't belabor this process. So when I'm ready, I can make this public, and I can also go in and remove it from the group. So it will be assigned to this group here. And when I'm done and I want to get it out of the group, I can simply unclick it from this group and it will be therefore removed, and I'll know which ones I still need to edit and which ones I don't. So it's another way of managing those batch records.